look towards team fighting, where the Maokai is a lot easier to execute on. You know, Kennen is more reliant on getting a nice flank, getting some sort of angle where you can get your ultimate in on top of a lot of these carries, which can be powerful, but Maokai really just has to press W on anyone, and you're doing pretty well in the team fight, so pretty easy to execute on.
I like something different from Solo as well. I mean, it's not a huge departure from Ornn, but with Ornn banned and Sett picked for jungle here, Solo did have to play a new champion, so Maokai is the answer here. Certainly looking like a slow one based on this draft. I think the style we predicted from these teams is probably going to be quite deliberate.
I think so too. I tend to favor FlyQuest draft quite a lot. I actually really like it. I think that their draft was very smart. They have a lot of different ways to actually go for engages. They don't really have a lot of vulnerabilities as far as, you know, the engage on the side of TL. I think it's actually pretty difficult to get onto champions like Ezreal. It's mostly going to be about, you know, trying to target that Syndra. But when you have, you know, multiple frontliners in front of you, that can become fairly safe. And on the other side, there's no true frontline really for TL. It's just this Nautilus, right? So it is very largely about the engage, about can you actually, you know, find someone immediately. I like the 5-stack here. This is pretty cool. You know, you run straight out to this tri-brush, you ward that out, and they're just hoping that someone from TL does look for an early invade. The level 1 from TL is fairly strong, so there was an opportunity potentially for that to actually happen. Obviously, will not end up happening here, but yeah, it should be an interesting game, and I think Maokai makes a lot of sense just as a champion that can start to slot in more. We've been seeing some Malphite, which Malphite is great and really underrated. You know, Malphite and Maokai are the other two tanks that I think slot in best in current meta. When Ornn is banned out, you know, there is an opportunity to actually bring out those types of champions. Maokai tends to function most effectively against the AP style of play, and obviously on the other side, you know, Malphite's really strong into AD. And it is going to be Spellbook Kennen, so this should be straight up AP. They are looking for the invade, and Graves can make this actually pretty difficult to deal with.
Yep, going to get the ward down and begin their invade. Broxah even popping the sweeper. Oh, over the top goes Santorin. They're going to try and contest here. W in onto Impact. Good double Vault Breaker as well. Impact might just be dead here. Flash in. There's the auto. One more needed. And that's it. That's first blood for Santorin. KO indeed.
Oh, very nicely done. And actually going for, you know, an ability start that is much less common. They actually go for the W start on Maokai. You would have expected them to go Sapling or even Q. This was actually really intelligent, though. It does look like Santorin will eventually be pushed off, though, as Solo went back to topside. Graves can just come back down. He was still full health, and Santorin was low, so it's going to be a smite fight potentially. We do see PoE moving over. This is a pretty wild start.
PoE's W can make this really frustrating. Also, Jensen's here. Also, the top laners are back, and Impact's level 2. PowerOfEvil can cut off. That's not a good look. W there. Gonna throw it back on top of Broxah. Smite down. Santorin actually got the blue buff, but the stun's gonna land from the Kennen, and Impact is gonna get PowerOfEvil, but can they get a kill trader back here? Getting low, the W from Santorin just takes out Broxah. He's level 2 as well. Now Jensen and Solo are fighting. He's level 1. And now there's a TP coming in. Jensen, he'll flash out of there. PowerOfEvil's back from the dead, because death timers do not exist this early on. And now they're fighting over the wall. But Azir has blue buff.
Very standard stuff, you know. Of course, you know, Maokai level 1 at 3 minutes, 1-0-2, all very normal, expected. Broxah is honestly the biggest loser in all of this, I would say. You know, he actually still doesn't have, you know, any farm whatsoever. This reinvade, I think, made sense because Broxah was full health and Santorin was so low. The fact that Impact got level 2 and Solo was still level 1 was actually critical, because if that hadn't happened, it would have been a very different story. Also, PowerOfEvil, credit to him for how he actually held the blue buff there for so long. He waited until Broxah had to flash out and then dropped it for Santorin to smite, allowing him to get level 2. Santorin, because he got that smite, had Haymaker, which allowed him to kill off the Graves. So a lot of little interactions there. Overall, it is FlyQuest coming out on top, but it's a 2-man roam here towards the mid lane.
Flash hook.
PowerOfEvil.
Good stun, but PowerOfEvil going to get ignited, and that's the kill for Tactical. Very nice room from TL's duo lane.
Yeah, and the fact that it's actually Tactical that gets that kill is very big. PowerOfEvil has no teleport, and also Jensen got a kill plus the blue buff there. So the fact that PowerOfEvil had to die, TP back, now dies again, you know, he is losing all of this farm. The opposing mid laner was already ahead, so that is actually such a big deal now that Azir has been kind of slingshot past PowerOfEvil, and TL off of that, I think really do even out a lot of what their disadvantage was from those early fights. And this is just such a crazy start to the game that, you know, it really does throw things into flux quite a bit. I am expecting us to go back into more of a semblance of normalcy here, though, to have this game turn into more of kind of the standard farming it out style. And in that case, I still do really like FlyQuest lanes, but we'll see if TL can kind of find a way to keep the action going.
Yeah, this is what I get for saying it's going to be a slow game. 6 kills in less than 5 minutes.
Why didn't you anticipate this, PastryTime? What kind of caster are you? How would you know that we would have all these kills at level 1?
If this is what's going to happen, I'm going to say every game is going to be horrendously slow, and then I'll just get let the teams prove me wrong. Santorin does waddle up here into the top lane to take down the Krugs, so actually keeping his lead versus Broxah quite nicely. Impact maybe in trouble. As you mentioned, it's very easy for Maokai to lock down this Kennen, but I don't think they want to dive here.
Yeah, they would have to wait it out. You know, it would have to be once Impact push out a lot, then you could actually go for it. Until that happens, I don't think it will be the case because they swept it out and actually revealed Santorin. He's not going to stay around because they know Broxah could path up there and turn any type of fight on its head. But for now, you know, Solo's just going to be chilling. I do think he'll work towards a cowl. We'll see where he wants to go after that. The fact that Impact is Spellbook really does say he should be going, I think, straight up just for the AP style build. I think this will be Proto Belt first. I don't think that we're going to see Gunblade, as usually when you're going Gunblade, you'll go towards Conqueror and try to play more heavily for that laning phase. But Maokai can withstand that really well, and I think the biggest question mark right now for FlyQuest is how can PowerOfEvil bounce back? Because he's the one on FlyQuest's side that did kind of get put behind after that roam especially, which was just honestly a really nice punish from CoreJJ and Tactical.
Yeah, he's about a wave and a half behind if he gets all the minions that Jensen's currently pushing towards him. Mash and IgNar also getting pushed in the 2v2, but not super surprising versus the Halo Blades Kalista. Broxah is going to start up this Drake as well, so Jensen using his control of mid nicely here to make sure his jungler has enough room to get his team the first objective.
Yep, I mean, you have pushing mid because of everything that transpired. Graves is great at soloing out these objectives, but you also have pushing bot, so things are looking good for them. On the FlyQuest side, you know, as far as the bot lane goes, honestly, you're not really picking Ezreal and Rakan for the laning prowess. It's just more about having, you know, this 2v2 that doesn't require focus, that can actually, you know, farm it out relatively safely if left alone. And Rakan is more for the hard engage later on, right? For being able to punish all of these squishy champions. It's only CoreJJ that really is going to have any sort of tankiness. So if IgNar can find, you know, good engages later on, whether you're getting the Graves, the Azir, or the Kalista, even the Kennen is fine pre-Zonias. You can burst these people down in that CC very, very effectively. So while you do give up priority early on with that Rakan, you know, it's not a strong laning pick like something like the Karma could be if you wanted to fight more for that 2v2. We'll see if they can make it pay off later.
Yeah, we can also see a tier here for PowerOfEvil starting to become a lot more common on every mage, actually. IgNar, ooh, almost gets the tap on a CoreJJ, but is going to miss cancelling that recall. That does mean they have space to push out. But yeah, Archneedle's just super efficient item, very powerful.
Yep. Oh, Santorin got it. Unlucky. Yep, but I mean, tier is great, right? You know, and I do think that it's been underestimated for a lot of years. You know, there was kind of like a stigma of like, you know, being this bad item or this insecure item or whatever compared to the Ludens. But it's like acting as though you have a barrier, right? And sometimes having that defensive summoner can allow you to actually posture more aggressively in the fights and get out more damage as a result overall. I would also say in these kinds of situations like PowerOfEvil, he may have actually fully intended to go towards a Ludens early on, but if you get behind, it can be really hard to get to your Lost Chapter 5, right? If the early game goes bad, whereas you can get to a tier fairly easily, and just getting to that tier allows you to stabilize your laning phase, allows you to have enough mana to where you can actually just clear waves and not get abused anymore, and I think that's what he's looking to do.
Well, IgNar getting a little bit spooky, but might be looking for an angle here. It's 4-5, sorry, of TL already around this Rift Tower, but IgNar's ready with the quickness. Good hook there for CoreJJ, though. W there for Santorin, but Impact charging him with the ulti. That's going to be the kill onto Sett. But a massive stun there. The Maokai ulti as well, layering in, and I think Fly can easily clean up the back end here. Mash is going to get kill number 1. 4v4 now as TL still fighting on. That's going to be a forced flash out from Mash.
Yeah, I think FlyQuest just need to be more patient, though. Like, Mash wasn't even there for almost that entire fight. He gets there at the very end. Santorin and IgNar are posturing pretty aggressively. They just would have wanted to wait, wait a good 10 seconds. I don't think that the Rift Herald was really in danger of actually just being burst down. So if they gave it a little bit longer, I think that fight could have gone so heavily in their favor. Either way, it did end up being just a bit of a trade, and the Rift Herald is stopped. So it's not bad by any means from FlyQuest, but it did feel a little bit disjointed. Because actually, look at the map. Look where Ezreal is right now as this fight does break out. If you're stepping forward onto the pink, it's not as though this should be a big surprise. It was a nice engage here from IgNar. He actually charms up the entire team. But if Mash was there at the very start and you have an Ezreal ult layered over top of that, that could look very, very good. Mash, though, finally does arrive. They are able to pick up that one kill, rather. But as Jensen and Broxah are starting to land some damage back, they do have to retreat. And we are starting this up one more time here. This time Solo is on the bottom side. He does not have teleport, and Impact does. So this is likely going to be TL's Rift Herald.
Yeah, looks like Fly can't find a way back in, so that Herald will go over to Team Liquid. Nice lineup there from PowerOfEvil. If the level 1 had gone a little differently, that 4-man stun might have been even more effective. As it stands, it was enough to at least trade kills and delay the Herald for a little while longer. At the end, though, it is TL that do get it, so we'll see where the eye is going to be dropped here by Broxah in a couple minutes here. No rush, really. Just want to make sure you get them plates.
It's also interesting to note the build here from Jensen. We have been seeing this very, very commonly now. Azirs are realizing it's actually just more important to get towards the Nashers, so people are happy to basically grab Lost Chapter and just sit on it. They actually don't complete it until much later into the game. Oftentimes, they'll have multiple items before they actually go back to complete this, because the Lost Chapter gives you enough mana, with the passive as well as just the flat mana on it to actually comfortably lane and not be forced back to base constantly. So you get that, then you start going towards those team fight items like the Nashers, like even Deathcap or Leandries or whatever else you want to get later on, and it's becoming really popular and it's very effective.
Yeah, push here for Fly in topside. They're going to get some plates down. Break up in 10 seconds, so we'll see if Liquid are able to grab their second in a row here. If Fly stick around, you have to think they will, because Mash does not have TP. So it's going to be Solo under attack here in the 2v1. Going to get himself stunned up. Broxah not going to let it rip with the ulti just yet. But yeah, it's going to be the Herald dropped, and maybe the Drake after as well. Very effective pressure here by Broxah and the rest of Team Liquid.
Yep, should be that tower going down. The charge alone will do it. And yeah, they should be able to grab themselves, potentially, another dragon here. Solo was forced to back off. You can't stay around to actually try to defend the dive, knowing that there is that Rift Herald there, but now they're looking for the engage.
Impact going to get dunked here, perhaps by Santorin. Maokai ulti going to follow up after the W. He is latched up for quite a while, but still not dead. There's the dunk out from Santorin. He's going to finish off the kill. And IgNar down here as well to maybe grab another one here. Does have the quickness, but not going to pop it just yet. Jensen also roaming in.
Off screen, Jensen actually got his teleport interrupted because we saw that teleport being channeled. PowerOfEvil must have been able to hit a Scatter of the Weak onto Jensen and actually prevent that. So that allows FlyQuest to not only get the kill, but to stop any potential follow-up. And with Solo TPing back in, it's FlyQuest that are actually trying to posture for this dragon.
IgNar also going to clear this out. Jensen, though, still looking aggressive. CoreJJ ready with no flash, but he does have ulti. Drake going to get low, but Fly do get it. Can they get out safely? As Santorin's going to go over the wall. Actually, it's just going to hang out because no one's coming in.
Yeah,
and everyone pops their emotes.
Very nice. I mean, he had the flash, so he always could flash if they come in, but, why not just try to get out without actually burning the summoner? And he is going to be able to do so. So they do even up the dragon count, which is pretty nice for them, stopping any potential dragon snowball. It is going to be an Infernal Rift. So, especially I think for the side of FlyQuest, they'll be feeling pretty nice, being able to land that poke down. Obviously, it's effective really for either team, but it is one that I generally feel like feels so good when a team doesn't have a lot of tanks, because you start to have these little bits of damage that really add up from any source. Even Rakan Q starts to feel like pretty threatening when you have a lot of squishy members.
Yep, gotta be careful. As IgNar and Mash still here towards the top side. PowerOfEvil going to go ahead and grab the blue buff for himself. Does have the Archangels now charging up. So just going to wait for that transform to pick up the additional functionality. Kind of a bonus barrier, as you mentioned already.
This is a bit of a different situation, though, for FlyQuest, because so much of the pressure now, it feels like, is going to be on Mash to carry a lot of the damage in these team fights. You know, PowerOfEvil is normally so consistent and always has so much gold, and he just doesn't in this game. Like, he is at a pretty darn weak spot. So there's going to be more heavy lifting required by Mash when you're only running really this 2 DPS style of composition, right? You know, there's a lot of sources on TL, but it's pretty much all up to Ezreal and Syndra.
Santorin looking for something here, but can't really find an angle. Depth charge onto him now as he popped the Haymaker, but follow-up is in for TL, but looks like teams don't really want to commit here. It was a developing 3v3 here in the top half of the river, but just a couple cooldowns traded and no lives lost. IgNar maybe now looking for the re-engage here onto CoreJJ. Does have his flash though. And alongside Tactical, probably just fine. But I do like the team's posturing again. These are definitely teams that are not prone to make too many mistakes. Ooh, whoa. Tactical with the ulti. Send him in!
I think they were just hoping that Mash was actually going to move forward there. He didn't. So, you know, Mash playing it smart, not having vision, you know, was sitting far enough back that they couldn't actually go for that dive once Mash did finally move up and show himself. So well disengaged there by him. But we now have Impact on 2 items. You know, he's gotten out pretty quick towards those because they're relatively cheap items, especially, you know, that Proto Belt is very easy to complete, and he started with a Cull, which is going to help him kind of get to that pretty quickly. Maokai is going to be starting to get pretty damn tanky. You know, it's at this point in this type of matchup, you know, against the Kennen, where you're really just kind of shrugging off all the damage that he can do. So it's no longer any sort of issue in that side lane if Solo is just stuck matching Impact, and Solo is going to be very difficult to actually deal with come 5v5 time because, like we've talked about a lot, there's just no true frontliner on TL's side. So whoever he locks down is going to be at threat of getting burst down. You know, even just him locking someone up into PowerOfEvil dropping the ulti is likely going to be enough to kill off a lot of these squishy targets.
Yep, and again, the carries are very vulnerable on the TL side to that kind of maneuver. So we'll see how FlyQuest do want to play those future engagements. There's nothing really to fight for except for in a minute 25 where the Infernal Dragon, or at least the first one, will spawn. Oh, hello! Flash face where Gert going to knock 2 together. Now Broxah trying to get out of there, but Mash with the flank. Able to give Santorin that last hit, and PowerOfEvil letting it rip, stuns CoreJJ. And one orb away, but nobody was able to throw it out.
Yeah, nicely done by Jensen, actually pushing them back off of his support, saving CoreJJ there, but still, it's the kill on Broxah. And FlyQuest, will they start up this Rift Herald? IgNar is very low, so is CoreJJ. FlyQuest should be able to actually get this for themselves. PowerOfEvil is getting pulled back towards mid lane, though, so now if TL goes up into the river, there is a chance for them to contest, as PowerOfEvil is a bit cut off. And we'll see how much we can get done on this turret, as doesn't look like too much, and we will see the Rift Herald go the way of FlyQuest.
Yeah, Mash cleaned up the way with his ulti, just to cover PowerOfEvil from potentially getting dove, I think. But nice little take there. And again, Santorin on the jungle Sett, something we've seen a little bit. I don't know if we've seen it in the LCS yet, actually. We have? Okay. I remember in Academy, but it's not uncommon.
No, it's not uncommon, and especially, you know, when you are playing Phase Rush, you know, generally when you're going up against a Graves, you know, these matchups can be pretty difficult, but if you actually, you know, land your clap and proc the Phase Rush, it becomes very difficult for Graves to actually kite you out pretty much at all. So back up here to this top side. With the Morello, you know, you're hoping that you can maybe get a little bit more done. TP is not up for Solo, it's almost up. TL might actually just get a free dragon off of this, you know, unfortunately for FlyQuest, as it doesn't feel like they're actually quite ready to start it. And thanks to TL getting vision early and just starting this immediately, they grab the second dragon of the game for themselves. Obviously still very far away from that soul, so FlyQuest may not be too concerned. But it is a good play, you know, tracking that TP timer and knowing that Solo just can't quite make it down.
Yep, just back off cooldown now, so Fly just kind of forced to give up that Drake, which is a nice maneuvering from Team Liquid. My other favorite feature of jungle Sett is Nimbus Cloak, especially with Hex Flash, which, you know, every now and then you'll just see him like standing next to a wall, like powering up, and then he zooms over, I was trying to gank somebody. It's pretty great. But very powerful also, as silly as it looks. IgNar, though, maybe catching Jensen, going to get the knock up. Damage out, there's the Syndra ulti, one more orb needed, is not going to hit, one more order. Ooh, the heal actually going to save him, never mind. Shut down there for PoE, but the kill is going to happen on the other side as Tactical's able to take down PowerOfEvil, but now he's dead as the rest of FlyQuest descend onto Team Liquid. A double kill there for Mash as he takes down CoreJJ.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, but look at all the damage that Impact did not do to Solo. You know, he pops his ulti, and Solo just roots him and tanks the full ulti. He lost maybe 5% of his health to the full Kennen ultimate there with the Aftershock proc, with his Spirit Visage. So, you know, just locks up Impact and denied essentially all of the power from that Kennen TP coming in. FlyQuest closing that gold gap. They do take a turret. They will get charge here on this second turret also. And FlyQuest really starting to look very, very good. You know, one of the biggest problems here for TL is, I just think that they got straight up out drafted because, you know, when we look at some of the other comps that we've been seeing this weekend, it's like, okay, one team's really good at team fighting, but the other team's really good at slow pushing. Well, both these teams have to team fight, and one is just better at it. You know, anytime FlyQuest is able to find someone from TL, they are going to have the opportunity to straight up engage. Now, watch Solo. Like, look at that damage. He's pretty much full health coming out of a full ultimate from Impact. So, you know, TL is going to have to be very clever about finding these angles. They're going to have Impact coming from somewhere where Solo cannot intercept him, where he's able to get on top of those carries. And if they're able to do that, they can win out these team fights. But if FlyQuest knows what you're going for, if they see you going for that engage and, you know, Solo is able to just lock down those key members, it becomes very trivial for the damage dealers of FlyQuest to kill off the members of TL, while Solo and Santorin and IgNar just buy time.
Yeah, I mean, Santorin's been an absolute menace in this team fight. It's just so disruptive on the set. As Solo and Jensen, oh, I mean, I don't think Solo really minds that much. Yeah, not a lot of damage being done right now onto this Maokai, who is 2 items and counting. Feeling nice against the dual AP threats of TL.
Yep, and he will have to run away, obviously, because no one from his team is down on that side. You know, if it's just a straight-up 1v1, you know, with the sap magic, you just walk up to him and you get one punch off and you start to heal back most of that damage. You know, the healing becomes really, really insane on Maokai when you do have that Spirit Visage plus the sap magic passive. So, another turret does go the way of FlyQuest. Pretty much dead even at this point, and Tactical's in trouble.
Gonna get ulted, he's dead. IgNar actually gonna pick up the kill.
Yeah, Tactical, that felt like you just needed to accept your death. It seemed like a bit of a misclick almost at that point. Like, he flashed, and then he kind of started walking back towards his opponents and dropped a pink ward, I do believe, in that brush. So, you know, maybe trying to, like, deny vision so he could walk away, you know, hoping that they couldn't see him there or something. But Tactical was just way far out on the map without anyone else around, and there's that Sap Magic heal. 459, not too bad. Does get higher and higher as you get lower as well, I do believe. So it's one tanky tree.
Yep, and that's just Solo contesting the wave to keep up the pressure, keep the minions pushing towards it. Again, Jensen does have the Luden's finish now, but I think Maokai will still be more than tanky enough for any future 1v1s.
Yeah, totally. And you can see Santorin now with the Deadmans. You know, you talked about Nimbus Cloak, you talked about the Hex Flash. With that Deadmans, you are very, very quick, and you can find engages sometimes kind of surprisingly, just by flashing in, chilling smite, you know, these types of things to give you the Nimbus Cloak. Plus, you already have the full stacks of that Deadmans, and you zoom in there and can look to grab people. So TL is having to play it very far back. You know, they know anytime Santorin is missing, it is pretty dangerous to be out in those side lanes. They don't even have winning side lanes. So it's pretty difficult for TL. They're kind of getting choked out a little bit here, but they're looking for PowerOfEvil.
Yep, Santorin just going to dive in. That Banshee's fail doing a lot of work there as Fate's Call is going to be used back onto Santorin, though. Haymaker is up, gets used there, pokes Broxah for a little bit of damage, but now they're going to zone the rest out. What a great stun there for PoE as Mash just chunks Impact's health bar, and TL, it's like they almost have an angle on a fight, but almost is not enough against FlyQuest.
Yeah, they were willing to risk a pretty dangerous fight there because they wanted to burst down Santorin so they could get this dragon. Santorin, though, he barely lives. That was so key that he did survive. And now it's just up to these FlyQuest 4 members to actually delay for Santorin to get back. Solo is very low on mana, though, so he's got to be careful that he saves enough for his full combo, you know, for the ultimate, for the root, and the Q at the very least. If you throw too many saplings and you run out of mana for your root, it's pretty brutal. But I don't think that TL is going to actually be in a position to contest. I think this is just going to be FlyQuest Dragon at this point because multiple members of TL are chunked out, and Santorin is back. Plus, mid lane is pushing very heavily, so TL has got to respond to mid lane. This will be a FlyQuest Dragon. They're going to move to their second. And they also got that mid lane turret down, I do believe. It looked like it fell on that minimap, so well done by FlyQuest.
And, you know, 2,000 gold ahead, 24 minutes in. Not a massive lead by FlyQuest, but the Like the calm I feel like they're playing with just speaks to how comfortable they feel with this composition.
This makes more sense. I was like, why is he so far out by himself? You know, we did see CoreJJ was actually basing, and he got spotted basing on a ward, so that was kind of the issue there. But even still, Tactical knew that his support was basing, and he kind of stepped forward, so it was a bit of a cocky play. You know, maybe was assuming that, okay, they don't know CoreJJ is basing, and they're going to assume he's here, so they won't punish me for this. But the knowledge was there, the ward was there, and he does end up giving up his life plus the flash, which obviously made any subsequent fights more dangerous. It may have been part of the reason that they're not willing to actually contest that dragon. And FlyQuest now going to look to set up around this Baron here and potentially trying to catch Jensen. I don't know if they're going to fully commit.
IgNar's going to commit.
Seems ill-advised.
Got him.
You don't have any damage.
Here's the Zhonya's!
Yeah, but Santorin was running away. Nash isn't even there. He's like, I will get you.
IgNar's just testing, you know, I mean, you know what, maybe he's thinking, you know, if this game keeps going this way, there is a death gap in my future. He's just testing his engage limits.
Testing his damage, you know, seeing how close can I get to one-shotting you. Not even close, okay.
Yeah,
Here,
I do
still
like
full health.
I do like the Zhonya's though from IgNar. I don't know how common that is on Rakan as the first item, but again, IgNar is such a playmaker that this is the kind of item he wants to buy every game.
I think it makes sense, you know, given the context of the other team. There's so much damage on this team, so you can kind of fly in. You become very disruptive. Everyone on TL has to scatter because they don't want to just get CC'd up and die. So you have all of these squishy damage dealers that are now trying to retreat. You know, Broxah and Jensen and Tactical, they're all trying to run away. And then as the ultimate expires, the CC expires, if you can't actually just E right back to your team, you drop into the Zhonya's. And again, you know, it's just kind of creating this zone of threat for the TL members that they have got to respect when Rakan goes forward, and that just buys more time for the Syndra and for the Ezreal to get damage done, and that's exactly the kind of position.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts so much. I don't think that was a Max Sphere ulti either for PoE. I think he might have been one off, if I can count. But CoreJJ still eats it.
Yeah, CoreJJ felt confident they wasn't going to die. He didn't pop the stone plate, so, you know, it's a pretty defensive build from PowerOfEvil. You know, when you look at it, now he adds in Large Rod. When he gets the Death Cap, that will change a bit. But, he's on Seraphs and Banshees. And you can do these kind of builds. You don't need to necessarily maximize DPS when you are up against squishy comps, right? Because it's not as though you're trying to push through this, like, 200 armor Malphite or, you know, or this big beefy Ornn or whatever. You're just trying to burst down squishies. And sometimes, you know, just having the itemization to allow yourself to not get, like, one shot if you're caught, you know, having the Banshees as well as that defensive shield from the Seraphs does allow you to play pretty aggressively. It's the same thing with Mash, right? Like, he's on Iceborne Death Dance, so he's going to be pretty difficult to burst down. And if you can't burst these damage dealers down, you will get CC'd up by the front line, and you're just going to kind of get knocked out.
We'll also see a couple stopwatches there. Santorin actually had his for a while. I think he got it after he based from almost dying around the Dragon Pit, so he still had that for quite a while. And IgNar actually has a second one, you know, for even more fun with the double stasis. So FlyQuest are ready to fight, but again, there is no rush for this team. They're even on Dragons, they'll just wait between spawns. They're happy farming 3 items now for Mash. Maokai is like becoming unkillable.
It's kind of just how these teams play, right? They're both very passive. Yeah. They're both very risk averse, you know. And if you're going to handshake on team fights, guess what's really good in a team fight? Stopwatch, right? You know, these abilities become so much more valuable. If you're playing a game where there's constant skirmishes and you may have to, you know, blow the stopwatch over something that's less important, then it's less valuable. But when the only fights are happening around major objectives, well, stopwatch becomes incredibly important. They're just 2-manning up the Baron right now. It is spotted out by TL. But FlyQuest could stay on this until Impact does TP. He does have a flank ward potentially, so there is some danger. But they're just going to keep on this.
Ooh, good stun lens as well. They're going to go in onto CoreJJ. He goes IgNar flying over the top alongside Solo. Fate's
Ignite
call.
may have him.
Going to protect him. Oh, goodness. Oh, what a great Zhonya's there by Impact. But he couldn't get the ulti out. Now he's going to use it, but Santorin's going to dunk him out away from his team. And FlyQuest's going to pick up that kill.
Yeah, CoreJJ barely survived to that last tech of Ignite, did not kill him. Right back to the Baron, because again, who's supposed to face check? They don't have anyone to actually do it.
Oh, Broxah.
Yeah, this is just going to be FlyQuest Baron, I'm pretty sure. It seems very difficult unless Jensen can make some magic happen. He is very strong on this Azir, so there is potential for it, but there's Flash available on Solo, so there is a chance that he just gets rooted up and bursts down. He's got to be pretty careful about this.
I like what IgNar and PoE are doing here, just like zoning the rest of TL out, making sure they can't get in the pit. There's a ward behind the back. There's the hook from CoreJJ. I think TL know they have to fight. They do get Power of Evil. And now that's going to force FlyQuest off the Baron, but they are going to stick around here in a 4v3. Wanting to finish the objective.
Mash, you have got to be careful, bud.
All right, ulti's going to miss, but Jensen's going to get in there, and IgNar cannot save his teammate. Now the Baron is way too low, but Solo's going to lock him up. Santorin's going to try and finish it off, but the Baron still has 700 health left, and he steals the Broxah! Leaps into the pit, he's able to take that down, and that went so wrong for FlyQuest.
Oh, Mash trolled that so hard. Oh no, FlyQuest should have had that 100%. And you know, they had Broxah so low. They just need to play it more patiently. And Mash just shifted over the wall into this Azir and Nautilus and absolutely threw there so hard. He flashes back, but Jensen then at that point could just flash in and actually finish him off. All you need to do is play it slowly, keep zoning him, make Jensen be the one that has to commit to the fight. Instead, he just dives over. I mean, imagine if Mash is just shooting out Qs and staying in the pit. You know, like, picture this situation where Broxah gets so low and barely gets into the pit, but Mash is there to throw 1Q. So, yes, you lose Power of Evil, but they lost Tactical. That is fine. Broxah still should never be able to actually get over here and steal this Baron. But Mash just charges in, shifts late, gets hooked, and then flash in from Jensen, finishes him off. You know, look at the top of your screen now. Look how low Broxah gets. Imagine if Mash is there for literally one auto attack. Would kill Broxah off and make this 100% FlyQuest Baron. Instead, Broxah barely gets in. Smite steals it away because Solo didn't have the damage to actually finish him off, and Mash was dead. And that is just honestly really mishandled by Mash and could be the way back in for TL in what should have been, it felt like, a pretty wrapped up game for FlyQuest. You know, it should have been their Baron, it should have been their Dragon. Instead, it's TL at Soul Point and FlyQuest here, you know, trying to defend this Baron push.
Well, we'll see how much they can defend, but yeah, that's just a huge series of misplays, it feels like, for Fly mismanaging that Baron. TL, though, will certainly take it. Broxah with a very nice steal is going to keep TL ahead in this game and maybe get them a big lead if they can knock down a number of turrets here with the old Baron. They've got a minute left to play with it. Jensen going to get the tier 2 in bottom lane pretty easily. FlyQuest just going to have to watch their turrets fall for a little bit.
Yep, they're put on the back foot, and now, you know, one mistake, one great steal from Broxah could decide the game, right? If you give over that Infernal Soul, that's going to be a really big deal and give TL potentially that extra oomph that they need to actually push through this front line to start knocking them down. Jensen is getting very, very strong. He has his Void Staff now. He's working towards the death cap. When he has that, he's going to start shredding through a lot of these frontliners very, very quickly, you know, especially Santorin, who has, you know, not too much MR, just that on the stone plate. You know, he's going to be pretty simple to kill off, but Jensen may get caught.
Very nice initiation. See you later, Azir. No stasis, no hope. There's the shutdown for Power of Evil.
Yeah, really nicely done. They knew he didn't have flash because he had flashed in to actually kill off Mash previously. So when TL shows multiple members in the top side, IgNar took the opportunity to go for that. Does cost his flash and his ultimate, but they get that shutdown onto Jensen. But Jensen has his death cap complete, and you know, he is going to be really, really threatening. If he can stay safe, he can win TL this game potentially, but because he has 0 defensive itemization, you know, he is really at risk of those types of plays.
Yeah, it feels like tough on both ends, right? Like, both Syndra and Ezreal can poke you pretty easily. Syndra, if she stuns you, might just kill you, given where you are right now. And then the other side is you also have to deal with getting dove by Sett and Maokai, which you can't kill very easily. So it does seem like FlyQuest should be well equipped to handle the threats that Team Liquid are presenting, but I said that last time around the Baron, and look what happened. So certainly still a lot in the balance here.
You can have the best equipment, but if you mismanage it, right? Like it's not necessarily just going to win you the game. So, you know, FlyQuest have all the tools they need. I mean, very clearly they were in control of this game for a while, but big mistakes are really punishing. You know, especially when you're running only a 2 damage composition. You know, when Power of Evil gets killed off, then all the onus is on Mash to get things done. So if he makes a mistake, it costs you so much.
Ooh, Fate's cool. Yep. CoreJJ back in. Switcheroo there onto IgNar. Power of Evil to target once again. Lets the ulti rip on a Broxah, but doesn't quite get the kill. Santorin chasing down Impact as Solo has TP'd in to join the fight, but Power of Evil going to have to TP back here. Does have time before the dragon spawns, but does want to be here for this fight.
And that is his defensive itemization saving him right there. He was low enough that without the Seraph Shield, without the Banshee Veil, he would have been dead for sure. IgNar here, spotting CoreJJ, trying to push them back. It is still a minute until the dragon is up, so there's not really any risk of actually, it getting rushed down or anything like that. It's right now just a fight for vision. This team is trying to deny everything away from TL as far as clearing out all these wards, because they know if TL is having to face check in, TL is really, really squishy, right? They're pretty much reliant on setting Nautilus in and hoping that they can just Kalista ult out the Nautilus to save him once he gets engaged on, and then having Jensen kind of in the backline just dealing damage. That is the way that they're going to have to get vision back.
Yeah, Mash just making sure mid stays pushed out. 30 seconds now till the dragon is up. Jensen does have TP, so don't worry about him being top lane. Just making sure to get a bit of pressure happening towards that top inhibitor tower. And there is still some vision here as well for TL that they've managed to keep up. In fact, that's a really nice word spotting PoE. So
yeah, I'm not sure who is going back. Is Mash going back? Because he's the only one with TP. Someone's got to answer Jensen.
Yeah, someone's got to go.
You can't just give up. Okay, so Mash went back. That makes sense. We didn't have the vision toggle there, but seeing Mash went back, that's the one that really does make the most sense.
Good
we
cancel.
can see Dragon is actually popped here. Now Mash will TP back to his team, and it will be a 5v5. Remember, this is sole point for TL. Can Broxah make the magic happen here?
Solo and Santorin just zoning them all out. Solo making sure Broxah is spotted so that Dragon will go over to Fly, but the fight will break out now. Broxah actually going to get wrapped up here, but kiting their tanks away from the carries could be dangerous. Impact here charging him, but he's only going to find the front line. Still, that's enough for Santorin to fall down. Now it's a 5v4 for Team Liquid. That's going to force Solo's flash, as Nautilus did have the hook lined up. So the Dragon goes over, but TL still happy.
And they can get the Baron. That's actually the big win here. Because TL pulled it. Oh, if Jensen goes down, that would be very dangerous.
Okay.
But I mean, because TL actually played that fight, from multiple angles, it was actually really smart. Because what happens there is, at this stage in the game, one DPS versus one tank wins, essentially. Broxah really low. They actually may contest this now.
Yeah, good hook. PowerOfEvil though again with the Banshee's Veil. Here comes Jensen finding the scoop. Impact able to take him down, but here comes Smash over the wall. They need to kill Jensen. IgNar's locked him up and they do get the kill, but I don't think they can get any follow-up here. IgNar into stasis, Smash again, but he's caught between the rest of Team Liquid, and that's an easy kill for them. And they also got the Baron, by the way.
Yeah, Mash flashing in there. FlyQuest super overcommitted on killing off Jensen. Yes, you get it, but you're giving up multiple lives for it, and the Baron buff is over on TL, so now you have no wave clear. FlyQuest is really mismanaging this down the stretch, and TL skirmished very well around that dragon. Despite the fact that they lost the dragon, they win the fight because they're dividing it up into these little pockets where it's like your no-damage Maokai plus Santorin are not going to kill off the Graves and the Kennen by themselves. You need the damage dealers behind you. Whereas TL can win these small skirmishes, and now they're potentially looking to actually just end the game. They're going to keep pushing because they know there's no wave clear.
Yeah, two tanks here. Good Maokai ulti there for Solo. They're going to have to wrap it up. Good ult from Impact though. Going to try and lock down Santorin, but Depth Charge out in on as IgNar dashes in, gets two with the knockoff, but she's going to force the QSS out of Tactical. They do defend their base, so FlyQuest will not lose their Nexus. Nice ulti as well from Mash. It's going to poke down Tactical, but Broxah quick draws out of the way. And we're going to have another reset, but still a lot of damage done by this Baron from TL.
Yeah, they're in a good position. I mean, they have a lot of gold. So here is the Baron take. Broxah did get tagged by the Ezreal ulti, gets very low, and then they're saying, okay, maybe we can actually get something done here. But the vision was there. PowerOfEvil base checking in, does get found. Jensen sees Banshee's Veil is off. Easy kill here. And then this is where, FlyQuest, I think, really committed very hard for this. They're like, okay, if we can just kill Jensen, we can win the fight. But there's still other threats. It's not as though you're just killing off the only source of damage. Tactical, Broxah, as well as Impact were all still there. And despite the fact that Jensen is doing most of the heavy lifting, these guys will deal damage if you get up on top of them.
Well, Baron's still up for 55 seconds. Soul Dragon is up for both teams in just over 2 minutes. So, expecting that to maybe be the place of the final fight of this game.
Yeah,
TL is still pushing.
If TL win the fight, it could be the final fight, right? If FlyQuest win that fight, it's likely going to continue because there is, an exposed Nexus turrets in the mid lane for FlyQuest. So, if TL win a decisive fight, they can likely just walk down mid and end. FlyQuest has a little bit more work to do, but we are expecting a big team fight over there, and FlyQuest has got to be coordinated. They have got to be on the same page. Make sure that, when your tanks are engaging, your damage dealers are there to follow up. As the tanks, if you dive too far, if you get too far away from your carries, and you're sweet, you flash in and you grab the Kalista, or you grab the Azir, there's got to be follow-up there or it's worthless. You're just throwing away your life, right? You're not going to kill off these level 18 carries as a tank at this point. You just don't hurt them by yourself.
Yeah, you can see IgNar is trying to find all these angles, but Kim Liquid doing a nice job of making sure they have vision of these areas, making sure they're clearing out vision that Fly have. Nobody wants to get caught off in some sort of flank. That kind of feels like the only way TL can lose in their straight-up siege. PowerOfEvil, though, getting an aggressive Jensen. See you later. Nice combo there as IgNar with the Zhonya is going to dance back towards his teammates. Now TL going to have to run out of here.
That is such a big pick. They've got to run. I mean, Jensen's not even going to be alive for the Dragon.
CoreJJ, he went back in. Now he's just dead. Not sure if he meant to click in that direction, but FlyQuest going to find two. Now Impact going to be shut down here. Santorin ready with a dunk. Flash into the wall he goes. And Impact going to get a nice ulti down, but IgNar again into stasis. And that's Impact going down.
Yeah, and now TL have no chance at the Dragon, so Soul is just gone unless Broxah wants to try to run over there and potentially give up his life to do something. FlyQuest, just a great pick. There was two members in the mid lane, so I don't think that TL really thought they were at risk. You know, Jensen was posturing pretty aggressively, and because he has none of that defensive itemization, if you do misstep at all, you can get burst down. Now picking up the Codex, that's likely going to be building towards the Zhonyas, but still could be some time. And now FlyQuest should grab Infernal Soul here. And again, I think despite the gold lead, with that Infernal Soul, they're back in control. You know, they still have the better composition, but they've got to be able to execute because, you know, they have, I think, been in a winning spot a number of times this game and kind of made some critical errors, flubbed it a bit. We'll see if they can manage it a little bit better this time.
Yep, Infernal Soul, though, does go over to FlyQuest, as you mentioned. PowerOfEvil nailing it, that combo onto Jensen. Again, he and IgNar have been a treat to watch all split long, and we'll watch it again here.
Yep, let's see this one more time. That pink ward on the side spots Jensen. The Scatter of the Weak catches him. Like you said, that's all PowerOfEvil. I mean, he started out with defensive itemization, but at this point he has the death cap. He has the Zhonyas. And with the rest of them flying in, I do think this was intentional, you know, from CoreJJ. I think he's just saying, we're going to die. Let me just buy time. Let me throw myself back in and just slow them down so Tactical and Broxah can get out. Because if everyone dies, maybe the game ends. You don't really know. Like, probably not because of the minion positioning, but still. I think willing to give up his life there, and then IgNar, you know, showing that power of the double stasis, uses the second one, stays alive, and now it is that Infernal Soul here for FlyQuest, and that mid inhibitor is going to be respawning pretty soon. The next fight should be over the Baron, and any poke just matters that much more.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these Infernal Soul Syndra Qs start tapping on people. TL, though, not so excited about that prospect. Again, they got threats. Oh, CoreJJ. Yeah. He's okay.
Ow. Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things about Infernal Soul, you know, from a tank perspective, is your little bits of damage matter a lot more, right? You know, Jensen, someone that doesn't have lifesteal, you hit him with like a Maokai sapling. All of a sudden, just that proc is actually much more significant. You know, every little bit of poke that lands is that much more sticky, so to speak. It's that much more dangerous. We do have Impact here in this flanking position, but Solo is just boxing him out. You know, as long as he knows where he is, he can always kind of keep him away. And IgNar is looking for the engage on Jensen.
Very nice flank around the backside. Jensen going to be forced to flash away. The Syndra ulti goes, but it's not enough to get the kill. Santorin now diving in with the ulti, but TL will pop the Fate's Call and run away.
Oh, just barely able to get out of there. Jensen flashes out. He did finish the Banshee's Veil previous to that. That was actually pretty close to stopping that base. Tactical forced to heal also. FlyQuest are going to have position. Jensen does have his TP. Impact has Summoners with the Spellbook, but he has no Flash, so that is actually pretty critical. It's difficult for him to reach backline. It's difficult for Jensen to reach backline. We'll see if TL just wants to try to run it down mid and threaten, you know, the Nexus turrets or threaten an inhibitor here. Not sure if they're even going to try to go over and potentially stop this. FlyQuest decides they need mid lane control before going back to that Baron because they don't want to risk any sort of crazy base race type scenario. You know, they are the ones who really should be looking for the more standard controlled play from here, and it's TL they're going to have to be more dependent on, you know, making their opponents split up and making their opponents mismanage these difficult late game situations.
Yeah, only thing is, I think TL have now lost track of IgNar. We can see he's left of the Baron in that little tri-bush, but if something does happen as the teams move back over towards the Baron side of the map, IgNar could be on for a very big flank here.
Yeah, he has really done a good job of sneaking around here. This is something IgNar does really well, finding these angles, and I think they could actually go for this potentially now. He is right behind all of TL. Ooh. They're not spotted. They just need the rest of their team to actually push up mid lane. Once they're more in a neutral spot where they can follow up on it.
Spotted.
Oh, now it's a bit dangerous. He's got to retreat.
Yep. Oh, there he is. Quickness, though. Going to get one in the front side. Going to try and get the carries as well, but into stasis he goes. Impact, though, with a very nice ulti. He's going to force Smash out of the fight. Santorin forced to kick Kennen out, but the ulti from Graves actually almost kills IgNar, as now PowerOfEvil has to contain with everybody else, and he's left alone to die. The GA is popped. Solo is dead, though, as Jensen is able to find the damage to take him out. And the long con flank does not work out. It's Team Liquid that win that fight.
Yeah, he gets spotted, and because he got spotted, he had to go when his teammates weren't in a position to actually follow up. So despite the fact that they had the Infernal there, it was a really well-played fight from TL. Impact was actually able to get his ult in on top of Mash. Mash, again, honestly kind of mispositioning a bit. And despite the fact that Impact didn't have Flash, he gets his ult onto the Ezreal, which pushes him out at the same time as PowerOfEvil is being engaged on. So, you know, when PowerOfEvil is getting caught and taken down, the Ezreal needs to be getting damage done or you have no threat. And again here, Mash not able to get the job done. TL have Baron. It's 5v3. Will they try to threaten the end?
I mean, they're going to at least take this inhib, but that's the easy part. Now the rest of TL move forward. Yeah. Despite the Infernal Soul, Team Liquid moving in to try and get the kill. The Nexus is going to die. IgNar is just getting chopped to pieces by this Azir. Santorin trying to live for as long as he can. CoreJJ low. Does finally die to match, but I just don't think it matters. Santorin and IgNar low. Impact again. Kiting away from the Ezreal, but he's still fighting it out here. Mash living for a little while longer, but see you later. Nexus, Team Liquid, a very back and forth affair, but they will take down FlyQuest.
Wow, what an ending again, TL. It's the late game theatrics as they're just charged for the Nexus. They're able to finish it off. This was a really, really close game for a lot of it. It did feel like FlyQuest had control, made some mistakes, and TL were able to capitalize on it, so credit to them. You know, Broxah with a fantastic Baron steal, and TL able to play out, I think, a lot of these late-game fights better than their opponents, you know, splitting up FlyQuest, you know, pushing Mash and PowerOfEvil in different directions so that they weren't actually combining to get damage down on the same targets. And, you know, TL, I think, deserving of credit because I do think that they got outdrafted in this game, and I felt like, you know, they were just able to outplay from the deficit that they started with.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Josh, because actually we'll hear a little bit about that. The LCS is taking a break, but we'll be hearing the Verizon post-game interview with Coach Chat coming up right after this.